All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to MLB. We got opening day here. We got a 14-game MLB slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3, 4. More juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. Now, there are a couple housekeeping things that I want to talk about before we do dive into today's slate and essentially dive into this season, obviously with the exclusion of the Cubs and Dodgers games that we did do breakdowns for here on the channel. But first and foremost, anything we talk about, numbers we reference or anything like that, take them with a grain of salt, at least for the time being, because we have 2024 data to go off of, right? And, previous history and that type of thing. But obviously, as teams change, guys get better, guys get worse, that type of stuff, things do change a lot. And baseball being such an analytical-driven betting sport, I think that's super important to note. So probably even from my standpoint, you'll see a lot of quarter unit plays to start the year and that type of thing. Maybe a little light on player props to start the year as well, because we want to get a feel for things. We'll keep building our dashboard as the data comes in, but that is a big thing that I would say, at least, or I'd be remiss to not say, right? If I didn't say that to start this video, that kind of go into the season conservatively. I know we're probably all gung-ho and ready to fire on the MLB because we missed it, but just take it easy, right? We don't need to go pedal to the metal right away. We will hit our stride during the season where we have everything that we need and we feel a little bit more confident. But I'd be an idiot to sit here and be like, we know everything that's happening. No, we're looking at stats from a year ago. You know what I mean? So keep that in mind, guys. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive into this slate. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know down below how excited you are for MLB season, because I'm like a 9.8 out of 10 over here. A lot of people say baseball is boring or it's a slow sport and all that. If you have some coin on the line in baseball, it is electric, right? There's so many data points and analytics to dig up to come up with plays and that type of thing. That's why I love betting on baseball. So yeah, let me know in the comments how excited you guys are, but let's go ahead and dive into game number 1. Here we got the Yanks taking on Milwaukee. Rodon on the mound for the Yankees, going up against Freddie Peralta. One thing that I would note here is that Rodon had a really good home season last year. A couple of the Yankees pitchers in the same boat where they kind of struggled on the road, but very, very good at home. We have 2 decent bullpens, at least from a year ago. Obviously, things change. But this is a spot in which it came down to the fastball for me in a sense. And obviously, we do have moving pieces, like I've mentioned. But just a year ago, and both these guys throw a ton of fastballs. Peralta, 54% a year ago. I don't expect that to change all that much. And Rodon, just under 40. I want to say it was just under 50%, actually. Don't expect that to change all that much. Milwaukee, not exactly the best fastball hitting team. We talked about that a ton last year. Also, not the best team against left-handed pitchers, which is where Rodon's thrown from. But on the flip side, the Yankees against the slider and the fastball, which are the 2 main pitches that Peralta's going to throw. He'll mix in the changeup as well as pitch number 3. But the Yankees, second against the fastball in terms of runs above average last year, 4th against the slider. They're obviously returning a lot of guys, and they added Bellinger. I know that they lose. So Soto is a big deal, and I get that. But I do think this lineup is still very, very good. So I'm going to lean towards the Yankees here. I've seen a -144 out there. If it gets any better than that, I think we're lucky to see it. I would still have liked this at -150 and whatnot, just due to the fact that I think there is a decent look at the Yankees. Peralta, not all that great on the road. Rodon, very good on the road. Yankees, very good at hitting right-handed pitchers. Peralta, a righty. Milwaukee, not very good at hitting lefties. Rodon's a lefty. Fastball's what we just talked about. Everything kind of points to a Yankees spot here. But, like I said, grain of salt in mind because it is a new season. Give me the Yankees on the money line. Team total over Yankees is also something that I would consider. I don't know how much I trust this Milwaukee, just their lineup in general, I should say. And especially throwing the fact that, Rodon was pretty nails at home last year. Worries me a little bit. So right now you can get over 3.5. That might be a good look there to be able to go out there and get a few runs. I think they hit Peralta well. The bullpen for Milwaukee, very good a year ago. So hopefully they can kind of make their way through that. And asking for 4 runs from a Yankees lineup doesn't seem like it's all that crazy, right? In terms of a player prop, and like I said, we're probably going to be very light on player props to start the season until we kind of get into a rhythm. But one that I like, and we do have about 10 cents of value over on MGM compared to other books out there, minus 165. Yes, super juiced, but this is minus 200 on FanDuel, minus 180 over on Caesars, minus 170 DraftKings. Cody Bellinger, one of my favorite guys this year. I think he's in an amazing spot with this team. Over 0.5 hits. Now, he doesn't really hit righties all that tremendously as a left-handed batter. And Freddie Peralta, like I said, has a struggle, so I'm hoping that's the case. But specifically against Freddie Peralta here, 13 plate appearances against, 417 batting average, 750 slugging, 5 hits. I think Cody Bellinger could be in store for a good one today. We know Peralta's going to throw a ton of fastballs. Cody Bellinger does not strike out much against the fastball historically, and then last season he had a 350 WOBA against the fastball. So a decent look there as well. Keep an eye on the pinned comment, taking you to the final place to see what we ultimately end up rolling with. All right, Toronto taking on Baltimore. Barrios on the mound for Toronto, going up against Zach Eflin. This is an interesting spot to kind of dig into because a couple things are true in this case. So Eflin obviously came over to the Baltimore Orioles last year. He didn't exactly have the best of, road starts, but some of this data is going to be a little cloudy because it wasn't a full season with Baltimore, right? So that is obviously worth considering and keeping in mind. On the other side, Jose Barrios, I would trust a little bit more at home, which they are at home versus, on the road overall. At home last year, he had a 1.1 whip compared to about a 1.2 overall. His average against at home was 219 compared to in the mid 200s. So Jose Barrios should be good at home. I would still sit here and tell you that I think this Baltimore lineup is better than this Toronto lineup. I think we see some of the young guys get even better in that Baltimore lineup, and obviously the way their season goes out last year, I think they come into this one a little bit fired up. So for offensive reasons alone, I'm not trying to say that Zach Eflin has a massive edge over Jose Barrios. I really am not. I do think offensive reasons alone, I think that this could be a good spot for Baltimore. You're getting them at like minus 110 right now. Pretty good odds. Like if you're getting this matchup last year, you're paying a lot more juice, right? So obviously start of the year, hopefully we have some value in that one. I will say we have Anthony Santander playing against his old squad. Maybe you take a peek over there at him with a little bit of maybe like a potential revenge spot or something like that. But again, this is kind of from an offensive standpoint, so I will lean towards the over as well. 8.5 doesn't seem like it's all. I could easily see a 5-4 minimum type game here overall. And we look at these two teams and their, score against each other in just years past. I'll go through a few of them, right? 7-6, 7-3, 5-2, 10-4, 6-2, 8-4, 11-5, 6-5, 10-1. Like, seems like we do have a lot of historically high scoring games. Last time Eflin pitched in this matchup, 11-5 game, Baltimore did win. I don't know if I have the Barrios. I think that was a low scoring game. I don't have the exact score there, but overall, I don't mind an over 8.5 in this spot. FYI, guys, we are recording this the night prior to actual opening day, so make sure to keep an eye on lineups or any line movements or anything like that, because all of that, it's all subject to change. So just keep an eye on all of those lineups and whatnot. We know with baseball, especially the start of the season, things can change up pretty damn quickly. All right, we're 3 games in, and I think my bias is already showing here. I like the Red Sox in this matchup against Texas. Not necessarily from they should crush Eovaldi. We have Eovaldi going up against Garrett Crochet, who I'm super excited about. But I really like Garrett Crochet's matchup here against this Texas squad. Overall, he pitched really, really well against righties last year. It's a pretty heavy righty lineup for Texas. Eovaldi was very good at home, so I'll give him that credit. He throws a ton of fastballs, but the Red Sox crushed fastballs just a year ago, and he was really good against righties. This is still what I would consider a lefty-dominant lineup. Obviously, with Bregman on the team now and then Story coming back, you do get a couple righty bats in the lineup that are kind of scary, but still, like with Duran, Devers, Casas, am I missing anyone here? Probably, but lefty dominant, some of the better younger guys or studs on that team could be what Eovaldi, struggles against on the left-handed side of things. So, like I said, I don't think this is going to be an ultimate, bash session. Both of these teams go out there and that type of thing and put up a big number. I just like Garrett Crochet. in this spot. And I think the Red Sox will get the timely hits when they need to. Like, I don't really see Texas's bullpen being incredible, and I would trust the lineup over them. So yeah, Red Sox in this spot right now. I think the best odds you can take a peek at would be over on FD, and you're getting minus 112. Obviously, that can change throughout the day as well. In terms of the total, I kind of already mentioned it. I don't mind an under, but I don't mind a first 5 under either. Like, you're giving me Crochet and Evaldi. You two studs, go do your thing. You know what I mean? So I think the Red Sox squeak this one out overall, but not to like a pull away 10-1 type of fashion. And again, no player props in this one as of right now, but we'll be watching this game for sure, so we might throw some additional plays in there. So like I've already said, keep an eye on the pinned comment, take you to the final plays, all my free plays, and you'll be able to see if we do end up adding anything. But we might just go, Red Sox, set it and forget it, maybe a first 5 under, that type of thing. All right, before we do move on with the rest of the slate, I got to talk to you about underdog Bobby Witt Jr. If he gets to the plate, 0.5 plate appearances, and you cash this square in your entry. And that's not all. You're also going to get up to $1,000 in a deposit bonus when signing up. So check out the link down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment, or just sign up using code GUYBOSTON, and you'll get everything we just talked about. There's so many cool features over on Underdog. One thing that I think is awesome, they have a built-in ladder challenge where you pick 2 plays the first night. If those both cash, you just go 1 play each night until you ultimately try to get to that $10,000 to $10,000 or $1,000 to $1,000 winning spot. So go check out Underdog, guys. Super, super simple. You can use it on the computer, on a tablet, on your phone, anything. Very, very easy. I love the interface. Super easy to use. Link down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. Let's jump back into these games. We do have a lot of them to go through. All right, Washington hosting Philadelphia here. We do have Zach Wheeler on the mound, who I've said for, 2 years now, is what I would consider one of the more underrated guys in the league. Like, if you look at his ERA and whatnot, sure, you could sit there and be like, oh, well, he had a good year last year, actually. But in years past, he struggled, but he has a really good FIP, fielding independent pitching. His whip has looked very good at times, where I feel like he just flies under the radar. So all that said, yeah, I do think that this is a fair spot to like Philadelphia. It's a matter of wanting to lay. What are they at right now? Minus 165. Like, I even felt a little dirty looking at the Yankees, minus 144, minus 145, that type of thing. So, yeah, I think Philly wins this game. I think that they are better in pretty much all facets here, whether you're looking at pitching, bullpen, or batting. They are on the road, I will say that. But, overall, I don't really see much anything that scares me in terms of Zach Wheeler. This is a team that doesn't really, he has a big pitch mix. I think he throws 6 pitches, but fastball predominantly. Not a very good fastball hitting team in terms of Washington a year ago. None of the names in the lineup ultimately end up scaring me. And when you have a lineup that is built like the Phillies, which is a very good lineup, right? Turner, Harper, Baum, Schwarber, Realmuto, Kepler, Castellanos, Stott, and who am I missing? Rojas, right? Very good lineup. Going up against Mackenzie Gore, we haven't really even talked about him much, which he struggles against lefties. There's a couple scary lefties in this lineup as well. He struggled at home last year. He throws a ton of fastballs. The Phillies mash fastballs. If last year was any sort of picture into this game here on opening day, it's a Phillies spot. So I'm going to lean in that direction. One spot that I could consider would be a Phillies team total over. Right now we have a very low total in this game, but you can get a Phillies team total over 3.5 for minus 140, which I think is a decent spot overall. I think they should have a fair shake at putting up 4 runs against this Washington ball club here. In terms of player props, we do have one that we like. I would say overall, I just think that's a decent spot to take a peek at, which would be Castellanos here under 1.5 total bases. Yes, you're paying a decent amount of juice for that one as well, but overall, he's going up against Mackenzie Gore, which I said, struggles against lefties. Castellanos being a righty, I think Mackenzie Gore has a decent spot for him. Castellanos does hit the fastball really well, but if we go to curve and slider, which are the next 2 pitches, really struggles. So unless he goes deep or something like that, I do like his under 1.5 bases. I think the Phillies have a good offensive day. I don't think he's the main cog as to why they did, if they do. White Sox taking on the Angels. Not much to say about this one overall. We have Burke on the mound for the White Sox going up against Yusei Kikichi. I would say Kikichi has the upper hand, as do the Angels in terms of their offense, but by no means am I wanting to look at the Angels and pay minus 150, right? So Is our first psycho alert alarm in play here? Or this White Sox team for, what are we at right now? For plus, they're the home team. I think that gives them a little bit of something here. Plus 135. Maybe something that we look at if we were to dig into this game. But like I said, not my favorite game overall. I don't mind the White Sox in this spot, though, value-wise. I would peg them more so what the graphic has it at, like plus 120, plus 125. The fact that we're getting 10 cents on that is why I'm thinking it. But again, like, it's the White Sox. I think a lot of people will probably make a decent amount of money fading the White Sox this season. But to me, I don't know if this is just the best spot. I still think the Angels kind of stink, even with Kikichi on the mound. Total, I'm going to lean towards the under. I don't think either one of these offenses is something that scares me. I could see this being like a 3-2 game in favor of anybody. Let's move on to the next one. All right, Houston taking on the Astros, I was about to say. Houston taking on the Mets. Clay Holmes looks like he's going to be on the mound here for the Mets, going up against Framber Valdez. Framber Valdez had a very, very good year last year, and specifically a very, very good year at home. That being said, I like this Mets offense a lot. I mean, they were one of the teams that we also sprinkled on to win the World Series here in our futures video, right? We had a couple teams that we took. Guys, that futures video is still live if you want to go check it out. Don't want to spoil all the picks, but go check it out. I think that this is a decent spot for the Mets. I mean, you're getting decent value, right? You have two teams that I would say this is a 50-50 type ball game. Little peek into what I would consider, but plus 115 for the Mets. And I don't know if Valdez, if this is like the best spot for him. He's going to throw a ton of curveballs, changeups. Sinker is going to be like his main go-to pitch, right? Throws a little bit of a fastball, but sinker being that main one. Sure, that's fine. Mets last year just kind of middle of the pack in terms of hitting that pitch. But the sinker, the curveball, anything that the changeup, the curveball, anything off speed that he throws, I could see them kind of struggling against. Now, that being said, if we were to flip it over to the other side and look at Holmes, right, he's going to throw a lot of sinkers. Houston's very good at hitting that as well. So I think this is an offensive type of a game here. I'm going to lean towards the over first and foremost, but I kind of like the Mets, like I said, in this spot. I think it's a 50-50 spot, and you're getting a plus number next to one of the squads. A safer, if I can even use that word, spot may be Mets team total over, though. Like, that could be something that I get behind as well, because now you don't have to worry about winning the game. If they lose 5-4, the over in the team total still hits, right? So could be a spot to look at that. Obviously, they add Soto, and I just like this Mets lineup. I think they're going to be a tough lineup to get outs against going into this year. So yeah, give me the Mets, give me their team total over. I also, like I said, don't really mind the full game over either. From a player prop perspective, I would say Valdez over 4.5 hits allowed could be a decent look. I also don't mind Jose Altuve over 0.5 singles. Got to go singles specifically unless you want to pay the like minus 190 for his hits. But singles, I think, could be a decent spot here. He hits sinkers fairly well, but doesn't hit them hard. He doesn't have many good power numbers against that. So I think getting the balls in play for him and to get a single for, I think we're at minus 110 right now, could be a good look. So it's a little weird in kind of a niche spot, but I do think it could be a good look for Jose Altuve over in singles specifically. That means if he hits a double or a homer or a triple, doesn't count, FYI. FYI, guys, we have launched our MLB dashboard over on GuyBostonSports.com. I think this is quite possibly the best dashboard that we have built, and we're still going to be adding to it. But check out that link in the pinned comment in the Guy Boston Sports, on the Guy Boston Sports side, I should say. You can head over to the members area top right and get access to this. You can see each and every game broken out from a visual format. This pulls from a bunch of different websites, as I battle a burp there. Pulls from a bunch of different websites. We have projected lineups that we're still working to fully optimize this, but right now it's firing on a decent amount of cylinders. But we have pitching data, pitch mix data, batting versus those pitching. We have the money line, the total. We also have bullpen data down here. A lot is coming as well. So if you guys do want to check it out, head over to GuyBostonSports.com. Which you can see right here, members area, right? You get over to MLB dashboard in the drop down. Looks a little bit different on mobile. And if you are logged in, you will see the dashboard. You can open it up, print it out, zoom in, anything you want, guys, just like this. If you're not a member, we'll walk through that really quickly. If you're not a member, and I'm recording this the night before, so we're going to see it a little bit different of prices. You're too late for the All Sports dashboard. This will be $6.99, but you can get the MLB dashboard alone for $4.99 a month. And then the NBA, if you're still interested, in $2.99 a month. I would recommend the All Sports dashboard, which by the time you guys see this, it'll probably be bumped up a couple dollars with the start of the MLB season. But consider becoming a Guy Boston Sports member today, guys. These dashboards really, really save me time researching, so I figured I'd bring it to you guys. All right, Kansas City taking on Cleveland. Tanner Bybee, or as I like to call him, Tanner Beebe, on the mound here for Cleveland. They are the underdog going up against Cole Reagans for Kansas City. He had a really good time last year at home, and especially against righties. And this is a fairly decent righty heavy, especially with the switch hitters that they have over in Cleveland. Obviously, their team looks a little bit different as well, but to me, I would still kind of sit here and say that I don't mind, Cleveland, especially the top of the lineup here, to get some runs out there. I would look at the over in this game. I'm going to trust Tanner Bybee. He was really good on the road just a year ago, but Cleveland hit lefties very well. They hit the fastball really, I guess I should say, fairly well, which is the pitch that, Reagans is going to throw a ton, but Bybee throws even more fastballs, and this is a Kansas City team that really struggled against the fastball and cutter, which you throw the cutter into the mix with the fastball, that is over half of his pitches in terms of, what we're going to see. So, yeah, I kind of like the spot for Cleveland for the plus money here. Is it another spot where we like their team total over? Potentially, and I mean, we really hammered the team total market last year, and I loved it because if you like a team offensively, sure, you can look at them on the money line, but why not go out there and say, hey, get us 4 runs, which is kind of like the standard, right? You can get plus 100 odds for over 3.5 runs for this Cleveland team right now. You do get a little bit more value if they go out there and win the game. You get plus 115, right? But I think that that's going to be the direction that we go in. In terms of that, like I said, I don't mind a total over because overall I would say both of the starts of these lineups, right? Like 1 through 5, I think are very, very strong and very strong against lefties on the Cleveland side of things and very strong against righties on the Kansas City side of things. So yeah, definitely a game that we may have some action on in terms of final plays here. Cleveland, their team total over. I like the full game over. Player prop wise, we haven't really dug into this game all that much. A couple quick ones that I have, I guess, here would be Reagans over 5.5 strikeouts. He hit this in all, but I think it was 8 starts just a year ago. In his last 10, he averaged 7 strikeouts per game. So I think that could be a good look. Last time he pitched against his team, he only had 4 strikeouts. But the time before that, he did have 6. I expect him to kind of go deep-ish into this one as well. But my concern would obviously be it's the start of a new season, bullpens are fresh, that type of thing. So I guess that would be the kind of pull back moment, but I don't mind that spot for him. And I also took a peek at MJ Melendez here, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. 14 plate appearance against Tanner Bybee, 0 batting average, 143 on base percentage, 0 hits, has struck out 50% of the time. So that's definitely a spot that I would consider. But again, a lot of these plays we're throwing out today have a lot of juice behind them because that's how they're pricing things as of right now. But MLB is a different animal. If you guys don't know, minus 150, minus 160s are not the craziest of odds for baseball. Yes, in the NBA. Yes, in the NFL. Like, sure, those are a little bit different, but baseball being a money line sport, not all that crazy. So I could consider Melendez here under hits, runs, and RBIs. All right, San Diego taking on Atlanta. This is, at least in my opinion, a fairly tricky one. Chris Sale coming off of a phenomenal season. He's on the mound for Atlanta, going up against Michael King, who I do think Michael King is a really good pitcher. I know some people have different opinions about him, but I would sit here and say that Michael King to me is a phenomenal pitcher overall. But I don't think that I can necessarily say that I would trust him over Chris Sale until we don't see Chris Sale look good, is the way that I would put it. It's a San Diego team that, raked against lefties last year. They did. Righties, they kind of struggled, opposite. They raked against righties last year, struggled against lefties. Chris Sale throws a ton of sliders. They do hit that well, so that's a point in their favor. But he throws a ton of fastballs, a ton of, change-ups, some sinkers mixed in there, and that's where San Diego kind of starts to struggle. The bottom of their projected lineup also does struggle against lefties. It kind of pains me because I went into this one thinking I can get to San Diego for the plus number, but I'm going to lean towards Atlanta. I know they're on the road, but until I see Chris Sale kind of not look like he looked last year, I'm going to trust him over someone like Michael King overall. So give me them. In terms of what we have from a total, I don't mind a first 5 under, though. I do, like I said, I think Michael King is a lot of the ways forgotten about. Sometimes you're talking about some really good pitching, and Chris Sale's a stud, so maybe an under, maybe a first 5 under, something like that as of right now. All right, Miami taking on Pittsburgh. I don't think we're going to have much going on this one. Skeens up against Alcantara. If you want to lay the minus 150 with Skeens in Pittsburgh, I think that makes sense, and you can definitely make that argument. But I still want to see if this Pittsburgh lineup has the offense that we'd want to see backing a guy like Skeens, right? Not sitting here saying Miami has a good offense by any means, but you are taking the away team with what I would consider not the best bullpen, not the best bats, and you're really just trusting Paul Skeens, who, yes, you can go very right just trusting Paul Skeens, but to me, the value isn't there today. I still don't think there's enough to get to the Miami side of things, so I like the favorite in this one, Pittsburgh, but I don't think that we end up touching it ourselves. The total sitting at 6.5. Kind of an interesting one because it is, Alcantara, who we don't exactly know I just said exactly multiple times. We don't exactly know what to make of him entirely, right? But I would say Skeens should be pretty good over there, so maybe we look at our first team total under of the season. But like I said, this isn't one that I'm envisioning that we love, and even under 3.5 with that 6.5 total, you're going to get a pretty bad number. So yeah, I guess Pittsburgh or nothing in this one, and most likely we're going to be looking at a nothing. Cincinnati taking on San Fran. Cincinnati, one of those teams we talked about in our futures episode as well. I think that they have a decent season ahead of them. Overall, I think that's the spot that I would look at in this one. They're the home team. I think that, with Terry Francona now at the helm, they should be pretty good. Hunter Green is the starter going up against Logan Webb. Logan Webb struggled on the road last year. He's going to throw a ton of sinkers, a ton of sliders, a ton of changeups. The sinker being that predominant one that I'm focusing on. Cincinnati hit sinkers pretty well just a year ago. So yeah, could be a decent spot, I would say, for Cincinnati. I like Hunter Green too. Last time he pitched against San Fran, he looked really, really good. Obviously some new names in that lineup, but still should be fairly familiar as well. In terms of what we have from a total perspective, I don't mind an over in this spot. I can't sit here and say that I think Hunter Green's going to throw, 9 scoreless innings again like he did last time with, 11 or 12 Ks. I don't think that's going to happen. And Logan Webb, I just can't fully, I don't have my trust in, right? Overall, we've backed him sometimes and been Logan Webb fans. He's also burned us, specifically last year. So, yeah, I'm going to lean towards an over 7.5 in this spot. From a player prop perspective, one quick one that we had, let's see if I can dig it up here. One quick one that we had was, where did it go? Encarnacion here, Strand. Under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. I do like the matchup for Logan Webb being very good against righties. And Encarnacion's a guy that doesn't necessarily hit the changeup or slider well, which are the next two pitches compared to that sinker for Logan Webb. So I think this could be a good look. Unders, not going to be afraid of this MLB season as we weren't a year ago, especially to start the year. So you're getting an under here for minus 130. Not exactly a spot that I'm afraid of whatsoever. All right, St. Louis taking on Minnesota. Sonny Gray taking on Pablo Lopez. Right now, this is a pick'em, minus 110 on either side. So whichever side you like, you are getting that sort of 50-50 value, I guess we would say. I do like Minnesota. I'm a little worried that they're on the road. Pablo Lopez, I think I've always really, really liked, and I do think Sonny Gray is very, very good, and he was dominant last year, dominant at home as well. But overall, what I would say is the fastball is going to be the key for me here. This is not a very good team at hitting the fastball on the St. Louis side of things, or at least they weren't, right? Obviously things change from year to year. And if Pablo Lopez is going to be on and just absolutely pumping fastballs, I could see it being, a struggle for them. Now, one thing that I will say in favor of St. Louis is the guys that they have projected in their lineup, Contreras, Donovan, Arenado, Burleson, Nootbaar, a lot of these guys very good against right-handed pitching, which is Pablo Lopez. St. Louis bullpen should be or projected to be fairly good. A little worrisome there, but again, this was a tough one for me. I wouldn't talk anyone off of them if they told me they were on St. Louis. I just think for this spot here, I am going to be taking a peek at Minnesota. When it comes to a total, right now we're sitting at 7.5. I'd like both pitchers. I think this is probably a full game under or a first 5 under. Neither lineup I'm sitting there being like, whoa, we should project a bunch of runs. I almost said points. A bunch of runs for them. No, I'm not really getting that out of these numbers. So I'm going to lean towards a first 5 under in this one, assuming we can get a decent number behind it. Dodgers taking on the Tigers. I believe we have Snell on the mound for the Dodgers. See how he does. And then Tariq Skubal on the mound for Detroit. This one has me confused because there's a couple things that I would, at least think about here before saying, just automatically take the Dodgers, right? Tariq Skubal, I don't think you're really going to have many opportunities to get a plus 150 number behind him all year long. So all of a sudden you have what I would consider one of, if not the best pitcher, one of them definitely in the league, with a plus 150 number behind them against Blake Snell, who honestly finished with a very good year last year, but he has his issues, right? And he had his issues. The problem being, if there's any lineup that could hit really good pitching, like Tariq Skubal, it's going to be this Dodgers lineup. So I'm going to sound the psycho alert alarm, okay? Take it with a grain of salt, because if you're on the Dodgers, I do get it. But this total's at 6.5. And I'm sniffing, that's telling me that this is not going to be a crazy high-scoring game or anything like that. And I'm going to trust the left-hander Tariq Skubal over the left-hander of Blake Snell. Do I think this Tigers offense even sniffs the Dodgers jockstrap in terms of, what I would consider a powerhouse offense? No, but I do think that Skubal is going to be even better this year. I sounded the psycho alert alarm. I get it's crazy. If this was like an 8.5 total, then I would think, okay, well now we're projecting more runs, meaning let's trust the better offense. But this is a low number at 6.5. I'm going to lean towards the Tigers in this one. Maybe a first 5 under as well, and a full game under. But what I worry about is, once Skubal passes that ball off, though the Tigers have a good bullpen, still kind of concerning, right? So maybe a first 5 under means that Skubal did his job and we get out of here with a winning ticket. Because again, I don't think that this lineup is going to go out there and just rake on Snell. But if we had a first 5 under, that means that Tariq Skubal did his job too, right? So something worth considering there overall. All right, Seattle taking on the Athletics. I guess it says Oakland. We might have that throughout this year, but I don't even know if they're considered the Oakland A's now, right? Until they move. I mean, they're in, Sacramento now? Like, whatever. The Athletics, we'll call them. You might still see some Oakland with the team colors, though, in our graphics and whatnot. But Seattle, minus 165, makes a lot of sense. I know a lot of people are really high on Oakland this year. I've seen it all over Twitter and some on YouTube, too. I don't get it. I think that Severino is a good pitcher. I totally sniff a Severino blow-up type of a year. And where do we really think his, run support's going to come from even when he does? I think that this is a team that obviously the bar's been so low for quite some time and whatnot that people are going to always say, oh, this is a time for the A's and whatnot. And I think there's something, people like that green and yellow. It's a really cool-looking uniform. I think people like it a little bit too much, though. You know what I mean? I'm not a big A's guy this year. I don't think Severino is going to be a saving grace or anything like that. Going up against someone like Logan Gilbert, I think the Mariners should dominate this spot. But I don't mind an under 7 or at least a team total under for Oakland, because this Mariners offense, I still sit there and I'm I don't know if they're going to really be all that tremendous. I mean, Arizarena being an ad, right? That's good, but still, I think this is a pitcher-heavy lineup. Overall, or pitcher-heavy team, I should say. So a lot of their wins, I think, will be low-scoring games. So yes, heavily favored. I do lean towards them. We made a lot with Seattle last year, but never in these massive high-scoring games, right? So maybe an Oakland team or an Athletics team total under. But again, I'm just not this massive Oakland fan. I've probably seen double digits amount of people talking about Oakland being better than last year, and they got young talent, and maybe their pitching's coming around. Unless I'm absolutely missing something, I just don't fully see it. So I hate to be an Oakland or Athletics hater, Sacramento team hater, but it is what it is right now. Give me Seattle and the under. All right, Arizona, one of my favorite and most profitable teams to roll with last year, taking on the Cubs. We have Zach Gallen, who I really project a big-time bounce-back year, or just I guess bounce back, right? He was tremendous, got a little banged up, didn't have the best year last year. I think he's going to have a good year this year. He's going up against Justin Steele, though, and Justin Steele is filthy. So this is a tough one to sit here and be like, oh, I love Arizona, but they did crush lefties last year. They crushed fastballs. Justin Steele throws 60% of his pitches. They're fastballs. I'm going to have to lean towards Arizona in this spot. I do think that they're the better squad. They're at home. They're a team that I have at crazy odds, plus 3,000 or something, to win the World Series. Do I think they'll do it? No, but I think that they are a team that's worth doing it and maybe bring up some hedge opportunities later on in the playoffs and whatnot. And that's a team that kind of got boned last year, right? If they didn't play in that, overall, they are the team that I think of when I say, wow, they played really, really, really well. And just how the system works, they don't make the playoffs. That stinks, right? So Arizona is going to be my look in this one. I like Zach Gallen. I think he's going to have a really, really good year. Could be very wrong about that, but don't think I'm going to be, all right? In terms of how we would play this, I don't mind the idea of an over 3.5 team total either, just because of the left-hander and the fastballs. the thing that might make me stay away from that and just say, okay, screw it, Arizona team totals, because I do think that Arizona should be able to kind of get their runs, even if it's later on in the game and whatnot. But I do think Justin Steele is very good. And throw in the fact that Chicago already has some like regular season. I know it was, overseas and whatnot, but they do have some regular season under their belt. Maybe they're a little bit more primed. That could keep me off it. But overall, I think this is an Arizona spot, as well as, like I said, team total over potentially for them. But maybe we look at like Cubs team total under. Am I too big on Zach Gallen? That could totally be. But overall, I think that this is a very good spot from a very good type of a thing where this Cubs team doesn't hit fastballs. We even saw that, fairly apparent in the Tokyo series there as well. But overall, I think that, like I said, this should be a good spot for him. Zach Gallen against these Cubs in the past has looked very good, including last year. So let's see something like that again. No player props as of right now, but as always, guys, any of the games we talked about, if we do add anything in, I'll be sure to throw a little blurb and bullet point on the final plays. All my plays over on GuyBostonSports.com, completely free. There's no packages or anything like that. Go check it out, guys. Really do appreciate you sticking with me. If you made it this far into the video, go ahead and comment 35. You made it through the first full slate breakdown of the MLB season. Very, very excited. So damn excited. I love talking baseball each day, even though it's a grind, especially with NBA still going and whatnot. But man, oh man, do I have some fun doing it. There's so many numbers to talk about, and it's just a really good sport to bet on. So yeah, let me know in the comments how excited you are. Comment 35. I'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.